Good morning, my loves. Welcome back to another vlog. If you're new here, my name is Lottie and I vlog about my Zen parent journey, my care work life, reading, or what I am reading, and everything in between. This week we are discussing books. I have been trying to read as many as I possibly can because I feel like I'm a little bit behind. If you've watched my videos before, you will know that my goal for the year is to read 50 books this year, which is quite a task in between everything else. If all I was doing in life was sitting down and reading, that would be a completely doable task, but the more I get into the year, the more I'm beginning to realise 50 books is quite a feat. So we're doing alright so far. I think I'm on book number 14. I'd have to check my record. I'm currently journaling them all down as well, to make sure that I don't miss anything and to make sure I'm keeping track. So this week I have finished 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne, Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne, Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. Sorry, I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of your name, but you are an angel because this book, oh my goodness, this book. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second. I'm also reading Spring on the Little Cornish Isles by Philip Ashley. If I get my finger off the pages, which is a nice spring romance, and it's really starting to take off now. I'm about, I don't know, 10 or 11 chapters through, maybe, and the romance is just hitting, so it's pretty good so far. And then I have just started The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde as well. Going back to Jules Verne, this book was bought for me along with a whole host of other ones for Mother's Day in March, and I have been trying to work my way through because part of the 50 book challenge for me this year was trying to read as many classics and literary works that were highly revered, just all the classics. So I was bought this. It was never particularly on my radar, but I'm so glad that it's in my possession. The book is beautiful. I mean, who can resist like gold sprayed edges on a book, especially if you're a book collector? And the cover is lovely. This is so very much for 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I just love these stories. It's like just a step away from reality, and that's all I'm going to describe them as. So in fact, all three of the Jules Verne ones that I have read are so very real life but slightly removed, so it's not too wild of a story to imagine that it could never happen. That maybe sounds a little bit bizarre, but if you've read any of the Jules Verne or know the stories of them, you will totally get what I'm saying. So it's not too far from the truth that you would never believe it. But these stories are incredible. I think my favourite was Around the World in 80 Days. That was very good. That was amazing. The relationship between the main character Phileas Fogg and Auda, I can't remember if I'm pronouncing that right. There's the girl. They rescue a girl in India, basically, and she stays with them for the entire journey. That little relationship that ends up blossoming quite near the end of the story, that's really cute. And just the relationships with the other characters as well. So Phileas Fogg has a servant who is a Frenchman called Passepartout, and their relationship is very loyal, and it's like what you would wish from friends. You would wish to have a friend as loyal as they are to each other, even though they've got the relationship of master and servant. It's such, like, it's friendship goal level relationship is that. But I love every single character in them. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was a little bit more taxing in terms of keeping up with the storyline. I still probably have a few questions in my head about that story. Like, so many questions, but it was thoroughly enjoyable. Captain Nemo, odd character. I don't think I haven't really encountered anything about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea before, but I really enjoyed listening to it. I am so useless at explaining things. I'm trying to explain it in a way that won't give anything away. Because I recommend the story, I don't want to sit here and tell you what happens in the book, but I'm finding it really hard to not give certain things away. But yes, Captain Nemo is a very odd character, as are some of the other characters in Jules Verne books, but lovable but odd. So the cat is scratching me again. So this is highly recommended, and it will be staying on my bookshelf, and I think I possibly would reread Around the World in 80 Days. It's definitely one on the list to keep hold of. I am collecting books at the moment, by the way, if you haven't noticed. With all these things around me, I'm absolutely collecting them. The other one I wanted to talk to you about, which I am wholeheartedly excited about, still excited about. I finished this one maybe Wednesday or Thursday last week. Calabasas. Oh, this book follows the story of two students, if you like, who work at a university. One is Alice Law, who is the main character of the story, but there is also her partner in crime, shall we say, Peter Murdoch, and they are travelling to hell to rescue the professor, but things are not always what they seem, and this book is just perfection. The way it's written, it's not what I expected. I expected it to be a little bit darker than what it actually is. I mean, there are some little dark pockets in there, but this book, if you like fantasy that is quite close to real life, this again is definitely worth a read. It's just, yeah, this book makes me smile. There's so many lines as well when the characters are talking, and the main character Alice says something, you're just like, oh my god, I would exactly say that. This book makes you feel seen. If you have ever felt out of step with the world, or if you have ever felt like a bit of an oddball, the main characters in this book they make you feel seen. That's all I'll say, and it is such a sweet ending for this story. If you haven't got this book already, I recommend this one. Like, there's no words to describe how much I would recommend this book. This one was an absolute marvel to read. Absolutely loved it. Would read again. Definitely would read again. Currently reading this one, Spring on the Little Cornish Isles, The Flower Farm. And this has got lovable characters in. They've all got their own backstory, so they've all got their own issues. It's a romance. I have just seen a glimpse of a blossoming romance, and I am currently on chapter 11, so I'm not very far into it. I'm only reading this like maybe a chapter or 2 chapters an evening, so this one's going to take me a little while to get through, but it's a happy read so far. There's a mystery going on a little bit as well. At the start of the book, the main character Jess has a boyfriend, but then over the course of a year he gets really distant and seemingly just leaves with no particular explanation, so there's a bit of a mystery going on for that. One of the workers on the flower farm seems to be falling in love with one of the other characters, and that's just coming to fruition. So this is going to be a nice read. It's nice, easy, relaxing. It's just a good book to sit in the garden with. I'm reading a fair few books. The last one I've just started, The Picture of Dorian Gray, but I'm not far enough into this one to be able to comment on how I feel about it or what the characters are like, because I've only literally read maybe 4 chapters. So I am still very new to this one. Hopefully I'll have this one done by the end of the week. because I don't think it's too much of a long read. And then I might bite the bullet and go to read Anna Karenina. This is a really long read. Even on Audible, this is a 40+ hour book. Now, I listen to Audible books sped up anyway. So I'm hoping this doesn't quite take 40 hours. That's like a whole work week. But it's on my list to read and it is such a classic. It is described as the perfect novel. If you ask the internet, this is described as a perfect novel. So I am intrigued to read it and I'm looking forward to reading it, but the thought of having to read 40 hours of one book is quite daunting. So I'm definitely going to be listening to this one rather than reading it. And after this, as I'm planning already, after this Anna Karenina, I am going to go back to my beloved Anne. I'm going to read Anne of Avonlea because this is the second one to Anne of Green Gables, which I wholeheartedly loved and actually holds my heart because it was so lovely and heartwarming and wholesome. So this will be the read after this one. Too many books, so little time. I have got to read Oscar Wilde, Picture of Dorian Gray this week, and then we are going to attack Anna Karenina by audiobook. I think that's the best way to go with that one. In other news, we have had the most relaxing, loveliest, in the garden kind of weekend. We had a bit of clear up, we got rid of the old hot tub, which will lead to us having a bit of a garden makeover, which I'm going to share with you on next week's vlog, I hope. And then we got the splash pad out for the kids. Sorry, the council guys are butchering the grass around the school, and I just see the little lawnmower thing bobbing up and down outside the window. Anyway, back to our lovely weekend. So this weekend just gone, we have cleared out some space for the new hot tub, which will be arriving this week, I hope. We're going to do a bit of garden makeover. At the weekend we had the splash pad out for the kids and they were just running in and out of the water fountain the entire time, and we did a little bit of watercolour painting. I tried to draw a dragon and tried to paint a dragon, and I don't think it's finished yet. I don't know if there's any other crafters out there, but when you look at something and it doesn't feel like it's how it should be, it's so easy to say, I don't like that, it's not how I wanted it to be, so it's rubbish. But I'm trying to frame it in a different way. So I am currently painting a watercolour of a completely made up dragon. And I have never done fantasy painting before, so it's not quite the way I want it to look yet. So I'm going to tell you that it's unfinished, and I may show you it, I may not, because like I've said before, I am not an artist. But I do enjoy it. I sat for hours yesterday painting this thing. I sketched out an outline and I started putting some paints in. I used different techniques and I've started using different ways of putting colour on the page. So I have used watercolour paints and then pearlescent watercolour paints, and then I use acrylic markers as well so far. I might decide that it's literally no good and I can't get what I want out of it, or I may continue with it and try and make it look more the way I would like it to look. I just don't think it's quite finished yet. Like, some of it is really, I like the look of some of it, but other parts I'm just a bit like, it could be better, it looks like a child's done it, and like I say, I'm no artist, so most of my work probably does look like a child's done it to anyone who's got any art about them. But we're enjoying it, and I enjoyed it yesterday. I think I sat in total for about 3 hours doing this thing, just sketching it and painting it, and I only sat down to sit with Delilah while she was doing a painting because I told her to get out of the house because she was going to sit inside on the computer all day, and I was like, absolutely not. So I shoved her in the garden with a lot of acrylic pens and felt tip pens and all the paints, and she did sit quite happily for about an hour and a half and do some crafting, drawing, painting, colouring, that kind of thing. It wasn't a complete waste of time because I did manage to get her to do something creative rather than being sat on her backside doing absolutely nothing. That was okay. This morning, where are we at this morning? It is about, I think it's about lunchtime on Monday. I know I've dropped the kids off at school. I know I've been at my grandma's this morning. I know I have done my grandma shopping and tidied up. I had to clean around, put a washing on and put a dishwasher on and refilled the fridge. And what else have I done? I've come home and I'm currently trying to get my way through the stack of washing because I didn't do even a single load over the weekend, so I am behind, but it is a nice day today, so I'm hoping that I can get most of it outside. I really wanted to concentrate on just running through my bookish finds for the week because we have had a lot of chaos. It feels like a lot of chaos again. Last week was actually pretty decent. I got to the allotment a couple of times because I wanted to take you to the allotment, but every time I went to the allotment there was either somebody there or I totally forgot the camera, and I need my phone battery to be okay because school like to call a lot. That's an absolute thing. I've dropped the kids off this morning and by 9:15 I had a phone call from school already. Is that Ewan's mum? Oh, yes. What can I help you with? So I have to have my phone battery for school. I can't always film on my phone. I can if I'm at home because there's lots of plugs and sockets. I could do with getting one of those battery pack things actually. But anyway, sidetrack. You will have already seen what we did at the weekend. I read a book. I did the splash pad for the kids. Ewan and I made some jam tarts. And we just enjoyed the weekend. We did. In fact, I totally forgot to tell you. On Thursday, so I'm feeling like this is mixed up because I was trying to sign off. On Thursday night, my niece invited me to go watch her play football. I went to the old Broadlands and watched my niece play football for the first time. Well, no, she's played football for years, since she was about 4. I've only gone and seen her this time. Football, I don't really understand football. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I understand anything about football because I really don't. I got to take photos of my eldest niece playing football though, and it was such a lovely night. I took Delilah with me, the 2 younger girls, Delilah and my smaller niece. They ran off and they were playing all over the field. They were having an absolute blast. I took photos of my niece playing football and hopefully I got a few shots that she wanted. So that was like a really nice thing to do in the week. It was a bit random because it was out of my usual routine, but it was really lovely to go kind of like just stand and hear people cheer her on and take some pictures of her doing something she absolutely loves. So that was really nice to do. And Ewan is, little update on Ewan, he's out of the boot. So we are on we're going into week 3. I think we're on week 3 of the broken foot situation, but all weekend we haven't had a limp or a twinge or a trip or any pain coming from that kid whatsoever. So this morning I've just put him in normal trainers and sent him to school, and I think we're all good. The hospital don't want to see us again, so that's kind of a bonus, but out of curiosity I would have liked to make sure that his foot's alright. I mean, I'm sure it is. He's walking around absolutely not even thinking about it now. It's like he's using his foot normally, and I'm really pleased that he's kind of back to his normal self. He even walked most of the way to school this morning, but I did have to bribe him. I told him that if he walked to school this morning I'll bring the trike to pick him up with, because he does like to go on the trike still. He really quite likes sitting on that and riding around. He just looks so cool. He's like got these little shades on and he's sat on a trike being pushed about. I mean, that's the life, right? So yeah, Ewan's all good. Delilah is no longer dancing. She came out of school on Monday going, "Mummy, I don't want to do dancing anymore." And I'm like, right, seeing as I've just paid for the entire month of dancing. yeah, that's fine. So we've stopped dancing now, but I won't be paying for any more lessons for that. So it's kind of nice in one way, because I was feeling like it was quite stressful trying to get her there to start with. Delilah struggles with transitions sometimes, so getting her to go from school to come home to get changed and then go dancing again, that's quite a difficult task, and it seems a lot harder than what it is in her mind. But having that stress every Monday after paying for lessons, and you just wasted them because she just didn't want to go in that moment. She loved it when she was there, don't get me wrong, and there's nothing wrong with the dance school in the slightest. They've been perfectly lovely. But we had this before, one little thing changed and she was just like, I don't want to do it anymore. So we're having a similar thing this time. I've told her that she won't be able to go back to this dance school if she changes her mind again. So I'm going to actually try and enrol both kids in a karate class, because I believe there is one quite local to us, and I do not think that could be a bad thing. And it's something they can do together, so I'm not going to feel guilty for taking Delilah to something and you are missing out, because they'll be able to do it together and do something outside school, both of them. Because again, football, I have messaged like 3 or 4 local football clubs for Ewan to join, just so he's got something outside school as well, and not one of them have got back to me. Not one. And I've checked my spam mail and all the rest of it. Some have been a bit like a franchise, other are local clubs. Not one of them have emailed me back or attempt to call me, which I find utterly ridiculous, because how are they ever going to take on more players if they're not answering emails? But anyway, that's done and dusted now. The want for putting him into football is totally gone, and I think we're going to try karate very soon, because I can take both of them, like I say, to that, and that means they've both got something outside school rather than just Delilah going. So karate looks like it's going to be a good option. It's not on a Monday as well, so that will be quite good for Delilah, because I think she's quite exhausted on a Monday after school. This week we have got Delilah's class assembly, which we haven't had one this year, and I am going to have to get back on at the school. Basically, if you've seen my vlogs before, you will have known that at the start of the year we had quite a lot of problems with Delilah's class, whether it be bullying or they're not being taught very coherently or rigidly, or they haven't been sticking to a timetable, they haven't been doing the reading, they weren't swapping the reading books out. Anyway, we got a new teacher at the start of the last term, so we are a term and a half into having this particular teacher, and we've already got a bit of a conversation going between us anyway, because she's such a lovely teacher, and my issue is not with the teacher at all. My issue currently is about consistency. So Delilah is still reading the same book she was reading last year, and despite bringing that up, and despite the school saying that they were going to put some kind of intervention work in for her, there's been no progression. So I'm going to have to start kind of getting on the case about it a little bit again. Oh, and I hate being the bad guy, I really do, but at the end of the day, they've got my year 4 girl reading at a year 2 level, and the only reason that she's reading at a year 2 level is because she's not quick at reading. So to pass the band, if you like, they use a particular reading scheme, but to pass the band they've got to read so many words a minute. And I think at the stage that Delilah's trying to pass, I believe she's got to read 120 words a minute. Now, Delilah's attention does not last long enough for her to be able to read quickly. She can read, the girl can read. I gave her Anne of Green Gables and she sat and she could read a full page of Anne of Green Gables because she was concentrating on it. But with the reading bands, wherever they're doing the exams and whatever kind of paper they're doing it, it's not holding her attention long enough for her to be able to kick out 120 words a minute. So therefore they're keeping her at her lower band level, which means now she's feeling disheartened and she don't want to do it. She's sat with the kids that can't read or don't want to read, and that doesn't do anyone any good mentally, because she's basically thinking she's rubbish at it and she just don't want to do it anymore. And I'm sat here thinking, but she can read, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a mum and because I'm biased. She can read. The girl can read. I can give her any book that I have got and she can read. Yes, there'll be words that she struggles on. Show me an 8-year-old that doesn't. But she can read anything, and the only problem Delilah's got is a focus. And because she can't focus, she can't read at the same speed as her peers. And I just think it's so cruel that they're keeping her at this lower level. And I genuinely don't know what the solution is, because it's not that the girl can't read. You can do a reading challenge with her and she gets every single comprehension question right. She doesn't lack intelligence. She's not daft. Yet they're keeping her at this low level banned book, and it's totally demotivating her. And I don't know what the solution is, because the school is so strict on adhering to these band levels for this reading scheme, and it just don't make sense for all learners. So that will probably work for a typical child, but we all know that ADHD kids, autism kids, any kid on the spectrum don't always learn in the same way that a typical neurotypical child would learn. So I am currently going to dive into some research and go back to the school and say this is what I want to be done, because the school have no solutions. They didn't give me flexi learning. So now I'm faced with, I've got to go back to the school and argue the point and get them to teach her in a different way, or I have to teach her additionally to what she's already doing at school. And to me that doesn't seem fair. They've got her for like 6 hours a day. Why are they not doing the teaching in that time? Maybe it's just a rule thing and they're not willing to bend the rule, but then doesn't that go against the reasonable accommodation? I don't know. What would you guys do? What would your answer be? My girl reads perfectly fine. The only thing that's holding her back is the speed of her reading. But we all read at different speeds. Even as adults, we read at different speeds. Like, my reading rate is quite high. I read very quickly. But then it's a passion. So yeah, I am probably going to read much faster than anyone who's not bothered about reading. It's just how life works. I am running out of ideas without asking for flexi learning again, because I don't want to put too much on her. That's the thing. What's the line? She do 6 hours at school and then I'm going to make her come home and do another hour or 2 hours at home to catch her up. That doesn't seem fair, because it's not her fault. It's literally the adults around her again. I don't know. One to think about. Anyway, on that joyful little tangent, I am going to go, because I'm going to go do some washing, and then I'm going to go see what Rob's up to and see if we can do something this afternoon before we go get the kids. So yeah, on that lovely note, I will see you very soon. Thank you as always for watching and being here with me. I'm so glad that you are. I hope you're enjoying the vlogs. I hope you're enjoying the book talk. I would love to hear what you're reading, and if you've got any recommendations of classics. I've still got a stack to go through, but I'm getting through them pretty quickly, and 50 books for the year is quite a list. So help a girl out and drop your recommendations below. I'd love to hear from you. On that note, I'm loving you and leaving you, and I will see you very soon. Thank you for watching, my loves.